Friday. It's Good Friday. We decided to hit you early with an episode. Also, I wish I could have that music playing in the background the whole time. Anyways, welcome to the Knivesmen, the official group of IBEDC on Facebook. And today I am joined by a whole plethora of fellas. We've got Riley, and we've got Brandon, and we've got Brandon in Lanning. Sorry, Brendan and Brandon.
Lanning
and Lendon and Lendon and Brendan and Banning. Gentlemen, yeah, you gotta get the side by side of you two doing that. How are we doing today, everyone?
Pretty good.
Good.
Funny about that song, I was sober when I wrote it.
I guess that's a first, or what?
Well, it was back then.
Oh yeah, I can imagine with the lifestyle. Gentlemen, it is good to have everybody here on Good Friday of all Fridays. This is actually nice doing it on a Friday. Clears up the weekend for everyone, family stuff, whatever. Why don't we just start it off real quick with a pocket dump, and we can go from there. Who wants to go first? Not me.
I don't care. I'll go.
Riley's going. Okay, Riley, what do we got today?
Pretty much a common standard with me is the new Navajo Crowmaster Citizen. Also, I'm carrying the Folsom since we did our review. Took it through the sharpening process. Like it. It's a decent knife. Sharpens easily.
Good.
Same as always. Stiletto Pro. Surefire. And been carrying this lately. Little fixed blade. Boker AK1. And Bison Micarta.
Good useful shape to it looks like.
Yeah, I like it. It's little small in the hand, but it's a nice little knife. I like it. And Travex as always in my garble of that guy. We don't need to go into that, I don't think.
No,
keys, whatnot, key wallet, and that's pretty much it. Oh no, nice. Well, that's pretty. I mean, I carry my tweezers with me all the time, but that's just
little Civivi tweezers. Nice.
Yeah, tack and tweeze. Yep, that's pretty much it.
Cool. I am today, since I'm at home and I get to play with all my knives and all my stuff. I don't carry a lot, so I got the GXW 56, the King, on some J's and K's, and an old G-Lide band. It's Velcro, which is awesome. And in the pocket, my custom shop bug out and M4 and beautiful smooth carbon fiber scales. So nothing too fancy for me today. Just keeping it easy. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Brand, was that Lanning crying
Sure.
like a? I'll go. Lanning's sick. You have to excuse him.
I think it's allergies. So, light day for me. I don't usually carry a lot because got my 3.5 recurve, OD green and battle bronze. I've carried this ever since the end of the Folsom show. I pretty much, this is my work carry, and so carry it all the time.
Awesome.
My favorite knife to use is the one. It's actually the one knife I own that I don't care about. Like, meaning I'll do whatever I do and not worry about what happens to it. And when I tend to carry it, I usually have my armorer's tool. For those of you who don't know what the heck that is, it's made by Hinderer, and it's unscrew it. And it's got a Weehaw bit that fits the handles. Got this, which fits directly into the pivot adjustment, and then the spanner bit. And then I've got my little snailer. This is pretty cool.
Mini.
Little mini. Yeah, that's it. I've got, because I'm a bad co-host here. I've my downstairs, but I've got a Right in the Rain book and a tactile turn, full size bronze bolt action, and that'd be it.
Nice. All right, Brandon, we're putting you on the spot, buddy.
All right, pretty simple today. I was just walking around in my pajamas, so I'll just start with my watch. It's a Citizen Avion. I'm a big fan of Citizens. I have a couple of them. Great little watch. So, and then one of the more recent Spyderco acquisitions, I got my hands on one of these little square heads.
Wow.
It's a tiny little liner lock.
It's been a while since I've seen the square heads. Oh, that's got the FRN.
Yeah. This is the lightweight version. So there is a titanium version as well, but those are a bit harder to find.
Yeah.
They're all discontinued, but
yes.
Yeah, it's a Spyderco collab, and it's made in Taichung. So
that was a collab, I think, with Serge.
Serge.
Wrong.
Oh, no, it's not Serge Pachenko. I forget the guy's name, but he's got the little
rocket.
I'm an idiot.
The little rocket. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. D Rocket. D Rocket.
You made that up, Paul.
No, that's the guy. D Rocket, man.
Rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sweet.
But it's a cool little blade. Like, it's great for, boxes and stuff if you're working in like a sensitive or whatever office setting, and you don't want to alarm people by pulling out a knife.
Especially
disappears into the
side there looks
pocket.
like a USB stick or something.
Yeah. It's really.
How's the blade retention on that? If you were going to wear it around your neck on a paracord or something?
The blade retention is actually it's pretty good. Like, the detent is pretty strong. I wouldn't be worried about that popping out. Even if it does, it's got this nice rounded edge. If it finds its way out, it's just going to get pushed back in, right? And that's worst case. Right?
I noticed that, like, that lanyard hole or whatever you want to call that slot's cool. You can almost put it on a just a lanyard,
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Is that your carry today?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
So yes, we are saying hello to everybody. Kids here, as always, dedicated fan. We appreciate you coming in, brother. Today we are talking Spyderco. We are talking good. We are talking bad. The name has been around for indifferent. Well, the name's been around for a long time, and there's different stages of the brand as well over time, and there are different segments of the brand. Lanny and I had spoke briefly how they do have their budget brand Bird. They have Spyderco, and we even said, kind of agreed that shoot, they could make a high-end brand for their Taichung factory stuff, and charge that premium price.
Yeah, but they'll have to come up with a new hold shape for the blade.
Well, that's it. They have the little
because even
teardrop
Bird, they have
shape.
the freaking...
They got the circle. It's a square now. It's just going to cut you every time you open it. But yeah, so I guess we can open the floor and just honestly debate the Spyderco brand. I myself, when I was first getting into, I don't want to say mainstream, but getting back into knives and starting to pocket, etc. Spyderco is one of those brands that pops right out at the beginning because everybody's like, "Oh, get it tenacious." It's a real introductory knife of the brand that people throw into people that just want an EDC, and that's all I wanted, right? So I hopped in and got the tenacious and thought it was awesome. And my next purchase was a PM2, which ruined me for so many knives, which it was so stupid to do. I bought the tenacious. I thought it was awesome. PM2, and I'm like, this is wicked. And it's one of the few I still own an iteration of over time. So I don't know. What do you guys say? What do you, that's my little.
I'll Spyderco is weird. I have a very long love-hate relationship with them. I remember my first Spyderco. This is a very, very specific memory. After high school, I became a volunteer firefighter the year before I joined the military, and a lot of the guys carried them on their bunker. The suspenders that hold the pants up. They always have like a clip it. This is back when Spyderco's clips were folded into the handle, like.
Yep.
And you always knew a guy that worked with a Spyderco because he'd have a broken clip, a little nub with a broken clip. The clip used to. And I remember, I went to the mall and the knife store in there. I wasn't a big knife collector back then. I think I had like one or two other knives. Probably ordered off the back of a Cracker Jack box or something. And I spent my hard-earned money. I think it was like $75 on Gallica. I think it was like blue or purple or something like that. broke the clip off within the first week. But the knife was great. When I wasn't thinking about it, I wasn't looking into. I knew nothing about blade steels. It just worked, and it was a good knife. And I think from that moment on, I went to basic training shortly after that, and there was a long period of time where I carried Spyderco for pretty much exclusively. When I was in the military, they'd issue us like the Gerber plier, the tool, and then like the Gerber Gator was an issue knife for us, and we'd always break them. So I always thought, well, my Spyderco never really breaks except for the clip, and around that time they made the clips removable. But there was the amount of models it had was much more condensed back then, and it was looked at.
Yes,
that brand was not like a collector's brand. It was like if you were a cop or a firefighter or military, you probably had a Delica or an Endura in your pocket. Right. And it was kind of I just never really thought about it, and it wasn't until many years later where I started having a little bit less love for them. And I think mainly it was my opinion on Spyderco is, they say, and I've heard them say this, we design our knives in the dark. Yeah, no shit. If you look at some of them, use my French, but it's a very performance-oriented tool. I think the problem is when people look at them, you start seeing like their grinds are never really perfect. Even on some of the more expensive ones, like you look down at paramilitary too, it's a little funhousey. You have to just kind of be all right with that. And it's I don't know. I don't know. There's part of me that wishes it could do more with less models, higher quality, less models.
Right.
But I don't have a problem with the brand. I like Backmade. It's like Ford and Chevy. They exist and they have their price points. I actually, to be completely transparent, I like the bird versions of the Delica Endura, like those, more than the actual Delica Endura. They're more aesthetically pleasing to me. The designs in the FRN.
The bi-directional texturing.
The way they do it on the bird and the shape. I actually, when I go to the knife store, especially House of Knives, they have them all out there, and I look at the birds and I go, man, that's a much better looking knife, than the Endura and Delica variant of that same knife. But I've got a stovepipe right here, so I don't hate the brand. I'm just not a fanatic like our next our next friend here about to talk.
You're not talking about me, right?
No, we're not talking to you. You're not a fanatic. Come on. Yes, Riley, tell us about how much you love Spyderco. Everybody, Riley is the definition of a fanboy here.
Well, okay, here's my whole thing. I grew up a little bit differently than a lot of people, so I was always around knives. And in middle school, high school, stuff like that, we all just tended to carry Kershaw. And things of that nature. And that became like, I don't know. I mean, of course, people like Gerber and they, but that's stuff that you grew up with. Yeah. And whenever Spyderco, I don't know. I never really cared for the blade shape. I guess you could say it's not really my bag of milk. But I've always preferred Kershaw. And I've tried this. That was a gift. But it's like, if I'm going to have a knife like this, I would rather have, and it's going to be a lockback, I would rather have a buck knife, because it's more reliable. And tell me it's not, that a buck is more reliable than a G10 knife.
It's got to be the same reliability, man. It's fiberglass. Again, fiberglass versus steel or brass in the buck. But it's a little bit different.
You take a hammer to both of them, which one's going to survive longer?
Yes, but are you going to take a hammer to them?
Not necessarily. I might.
Well, then again, that's a personal issue then.
Well,
your aggravation against
it's just where I have to use my tools at times.
Well, then again, it's all about having the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
again, a lot of knife brands.
I'm just saying, if I want to have a knife that's a lockback, I would rather it be the shape of a buck. And something that is traditional, and it's just everything they make is freaking so pointy, and I'm careless. I'll stab myself.
Yeah, right.
This is not pointy. Well,
you could get the Rescue. I had that, and it was great. The LC200N Rescue. It's got a rounded tip.
And it's funny because that's one of the ones that interested me, and so did the Smock. Both of those, and it's because they have the
different blade shape.
Yeah, almost like
the Rescue is awesome too. The Salt Rescue now with the green. Oh, I love it.
For instance, like the Smock in a shorter version is like the same blade shape.
Yeah.
But you know, you got a
Yeah.
lot better chance of not stabbing yourself with it.
So honestly, you are saying you like sheep's foot better. Period. That's what that sounds like. But then again, you own a lot of drop points and
Yeah,
all that
I do.
stuff too.
And
though.
see,
So you
I mean, but
can't- you
I
can't
love
place
drop
that gripe-
point too.
You can't place
But-
that gripe solely on Spyderco that it's pointy.
I just
Well, you know what though? Here's the thing. Here's
it's
the
not the
thing.
same,
Remember
though.
this. I'm gonna
It is this.
let me
It's not.
Paul, I'm gonna touch you up. Here's the thing.
Sorry. Yep.
But I don't know if Brandon can allude into this because he's got the most experience, I believe. Other guys that I know. I'm not going to cut into what you guys know, but Spyderco's blade shapes, you know, Spyderco to me, it's like the Glock of knives. You either love the look or you don't. You know, some people hate the way Glocks look. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
Spyderco's shapes, like, you know, if I had to pick their blade shape that I like the most, I mean, other than the stovepipe, it's its own thing, but like of their one, frequently come up. I think aesthetically, I prefer the leaf, you know, the Bob Love
Yes.
style, and I think he was one of the first ones to come out with that.
Yeah.
If you look at their their blades are shaped after things in nature. You know, like the pelican, like a toucan's beak. You know, you see some like their Warncliffs that are coming out now, and like their Endura and Endeliga. That looks like a beak of like a pelican.
Yeah.
Their lum leaf stuff, it's literally like a leaf. So you know, I think aesthetically they're sticking to the nature element, which is not very. I guess when you look at the landscape of knives, they're the only ones that were really kind of doing that. And they've been, you know, love Spyderco, I hate Spyderco. What you have to give them is over the past 30 years, they've stuck with what they do, right? You know, so you know, other than brands that kind of like just pander around, and we've seen a few of those.
Hit the flavor of the month, right?
Yeah, like
I mean,
when this came out, man, there's a lot of people that were really pissed off. I don't know, understand. I
think it was a lot of the variation that like kept me near Kershaw, you know, because they have, you know, they're a good budget knife. They have good steel. They have, you know, a lot of different, you know, designers that come in, and I mean, it's just a lot more variation, I guess. And it was like, wow, why
One
kind of
thing
straight?
with Kershaw is that if you love one model so much, it's been discontinued next year anyways, and you'll never get that model again. That's what's happening now with them.
Yeah.
And
talking
so
about
that's
length.
hard. But also, if you, yes, it's pointy and whatever, but you know what? The way you
It's
hold
the
it,
leaf shape.
that becomes not pointy. That becomes more.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a matter of though. Even the way you're holding it becomes different.
Yeah.
You know, it's something like that. Even it's so simple.
When we let
Yeah.
Brandon,
But
I'm
But
sure
yeah,
he's got-
Brand. I want. Okay, look, we're gonna zoom in. Brennan has a huge collection of Spydercos that I want to see particularly. So
hey,
we're just gonna.
we just kind of give the screen to Brandon, and he can actually go through.
That's right.
Give
Okay.
it for a bit.
And he already got my favorite.
So-
Yay!
Yeah, my comments on the blade shape. I mean, for me, it's partially aesthetic. I just think it's really cool. There's not a lot of makers making like a leaf type blade, right? Or variations of it. You know, like this is sort of your standard leaf on the Native 5 lightweight, right? And then something like a PM2 is. Hang on, let me just grab this one. It's basically like a clip point leaf, essentially, right? I find it just a versatile blade because you've got the tip to do some finer work, right? You know, if you're cutting out like some paper or something like that, like I've used them for that, you know, or, you know, this part of the blade for doing like much heavier work. And then the handle shapes always complement it too, right? Like you've got sort of the versatility in that you can get, like I can get a full 4-finger grip on the PM2 behind the choil, right, for working this part of the blade. Or if I'm doing the finer stuff, I can choke up, use the choils, right?
Yep.
Or even like put my middle finger in that choil, right, and just really get in there. So
Also pinching the blade. That's another way. You move your hand up way up and like no, literally pinching the blade. Sorry, I'll zoom you out. Literally going up.
Yeah.
And sorry. It's unbelievable the amount
I-
of different. Oh, sorry, Lanning.
Get in the middle real quick, just before he goes on to the next. On this one, if you throw me up on the screen here.
Hold on, I had to put Lanning back up.
Yeah, like on this one, I mean, look at the. You're right here.
Yeah, you're right out.
And-
Again, that's a very specific model. That one.
And the pinching is, you have a lot of room for pinching as well. And David Rybaum had said basically with this one was it's kind of modeled after some of the Civil War knives where guys were amputees and they didn't have spider holes back then. So that whole hump sticking out was intentional so you could get the knife open one-handed.
Like a one-armed bandit.
Yeah, it's exactly. And it's got more of a razor blade shape to it. So yeah, it's it's not perfect, but it's got a very specific purpose, design behind it.
Right. Brandon,
Yeah.
show us some more goodies.
Sure. So I'll just like give it a little bit of a history as to why I like Spyderco knives. A few years ago, I had a pretty big knee surgery, so I was like just totally knocked out for several months and off work, and couldn't walk or anything like that. And a good friend of mine, he's actually over in CKG. He came for a visit and he brought a bunch of Spydercos, and was like, oh, hey, these are kind of neat. And then of course I had all the time in the world to nerd out and look and see what I wanted and stuff. So then I ended up ordering like a Mannix or whatever, and then the collection just grew from there. Lately, my focus has been like kind of solely on either like unique sprint runs or Taichung collaboration knives. For those of you who aren't familiar, like Taichung is one of their Taiwanese manufacturers, right? And they produce some pretty premium knives. One that most people would be familiar with is the Techno. This is a Techno 2. Pretty standard. I've got the RGT clip on there.
Oh yeah, yep.
With like the dark wash finish that just totally matches the finish of the scale.
That's nice. So, RGT does some good work, man. I followed him years ago.
Yeah, it's just a nice compliment to the knife, because a lot of these knives come with a wire clip, which is not bad, but on a knife like the Techno with this nice like kind of stone wash polished blade, thick slabs of titanium, really cool grind.
Also, PS cool sheep's foot, Riley.
Yeah, there you
Check
go.
that out.
But that
I've been wanting one of these for a while.
Like the wire clip almost cheapens the knife a little bit. Right?
Yeah,
I get what you say. Yeah.
And then when you go and use the knife, I found too is that the wire clip, when you're holding the knife, will flex back and forth a bit and start to make a polish mark on the scales, and that just.
Use marks. Oh
use.
no.
Oh no.
It's funny because 3 of the 4 of mine on the table have wire clips, and I love them.
trails, Paul.
Snail trails.
It's funny. Snail trails, a totally different meaning.
I was gonna say the chef. I regret selling mine.
So this
Riley,
is
another awesome one.
This is one of my absolute favorite knives. It was a gift to me from my wife. Spidey Chef. So
I hope my wife gifts me a Spidey Chef. I hope she heard that.
you got to say it louder. So this one's great. Like I would say, like if there's one I had to keep, this would probably be a contender. But I take this one. I take it to work. Like, there's lots of times when I'm using this for food prep when I'm making my lunch or whatever. Another great thing with this knife is it's LC200N steel, so it's almost rust proof, right? You don't have to worry about it.
It's such a good to go steel. It's such like night and day to H1, which is absolute trash. You can get a plain edge H or LC200N, and it's gonna last you for days and days.
And this knife, like a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm not too happy with the LC200 edge retention, but this knife has been like razor sharp, and I've had it for a couple years now. Like I've never had to sharpen it. It somehow just holds a really good edge. So
yes, it's very good. And the geometry with the super thin, it's so slicey. Dude, I am so glad you showed one of these. I want one again so hard. I regret selling it. I acid washed it to my blade and it looked awesome. I regret selling it. It was beautiful.
I was over at Brandon's house last week, and I'd never held a Spidey Chef before, so he let me play with it a little bit. And it's weird for me because a lot of my research comes from just reading forum posts and things like that.
Yeah.
But there was this weird you either love the Spidey Chef or you hate it. So in my head, I said, "Oh, let me check it." it's a really, really great knife. I mean, there's not much to really say. And even the thing that they were talking about the play or whatever that is, I don't think that's a problem at all. Like Brandon showed me what they that's not it. That's nothing. That's even a thing. Like
That's
it's
right.
So there is sort of an issue that people take with the knife, and you'll see it posted all over forums and stuff. But the lock isn't super solid on this knife. Like it's not like a Sebenza or whatever.
It's slightly soft.
There's like, well, the issue that people have usually is like some lock stick, right? Which will work itself out, with using the knife. And I think that's to do with the steel itself, right? LC200N.
Yeah.
Those super stainless steels like LC200 and H1, they're gonna gall easier than your standard steel. And speaking of which, I showed this one a little earlier, this H1 Assist. This doesn't have the Cobra hood on it, right?
Yeah.
The VG10 ones do. They can't put a Cobra hood on this because they can't drill and tap a hole into that small into H1.
That's crazy.
Anyway, the other issue that people have is just there's a little bit of lock rock, a little bit of movement in this lock, and I did a video explaining why it happens. But
honestly, I think from an amateur view right here, take it apart, bend your lock bar in more, put it back together, and see what happens.
People have tried that, and it usually just results in the same thing, right? And what it is like this, where the lock comes back here, it's just really thin, right?
That's right.
And when the lock is rocking, the lock is actually flexing in this direction.
Oh, I got you.
Right?
Brandon, is bar flexing, or because there's a difference between lock rock and lock bar flex? Because lock rock means, from what I remember, is if you have, Paul, can you just put me on screen for a second?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I was just gonna.
So if this is your, let me do this. If this is your blade tang, and here's your lock bar. If your lock bar is like this, like say here your pivots up here. If your lock bar is full on lit on this, and as the knife breaks in, you have that full contact. There's a lot of space for those inconsistencies if your angles are not right. But if your lockup is, if the blade tang is here and your lockup is here, where if you look at the wear marks and you see that the lock is down here, you now have stop pin, pivot, lock bar. So it's a three-way. It's a three-way hit, and then nothing. So if you move it, the only way, you can't go back because the stop pin is there. The pivot's not going anywhere. So if you push the blade down and then the lock bar moves, that's not lock rock. That's just flex. And the Sebenza 31 does that. The Umnumzan does that.
That one, Brandon, that is it. I remember playing with mine and really pushing it. The lock bar has flex.
Yeah.
And you'll notice it if you do it in hand, and that's what it was, because I was looking at it and I was pushing my blade closed and the lock bar flexes.
I don't know if you can see it.
That's what it is, Landon. Good call.
That's not lock rock. It's just because
the flex
bar. If you look by his index finger, and then you go, or actually, can you unscroll your hand where the lock is, where the lock bar is? Your fingers are covering the lock bar, Brennan. Yeah, if you look how thin that is.
Yeah,
now, if they had put in a lock bar stabilizer there, like on the XM18, that would never move because it had nowhere to go. So at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, it's as long as the knife doesn't unlock.
That's it. In hand, in use,
you'll
never have a problem with the
shaft.
shaft.
If you're holding your knife, it's never gonna
sitting there trying to pick it apart and find issues with something that you will find with every knife you own.
Yeah, it's only going to be an issue if you're trying to use it for hey, I'm going to spine whack with my knife.
I got a baton with a friggin' spine shaft.
If you're hammering with your knife or batoning with your knife, something's gone so far bad.
Something's so wrong
that it's going to be okay. Just do it. Get yourself home safely and buy another
That's
knife.
right. You know what? That's right. Landing smart. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So
Next.
Next.
What's the next awesome
next?
one? Because the chef is a winner in my book. I need another one.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. I'll just bust out one that I recently acquired. This is kind of taking a little trip back in time. This is
a native one.
A native one. Yeah.
Yep. Native one. They still made them up until recently. I had one, and the clip was in much better condition. They're so nice. Look at those grinds. That's so fun.
Yeah, it's a very cool grind. I got this knife for a song, but it's one of the ones in S30V. I think some of the original ones, they came in like ATS 55 or something like that.
Yeah, I had an S30 as well. They're so cool.
It's cool to see like the lineage, right? And putting these two side by side and seeing kind of like what they've done.
Because
right?
also the finger twirl sucks on the one.
Isn't it still the exact same design on each handle though?
No. So the handle, like the FRN it's got more texture on the native 5. You know, like those little grooves and stuff are deeper, right? Whereas on the native one, it's more flat.
It's like a grid.
And it's no longer a pin construction either.
That's
the native 5 you can take apart. It's got screws and it's got a different pocket clip as well with screws. Whereas this one,
the native ones look more like weapons, where the new ones look more like utility blades.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like, you know, the native 5 is going to be a better performer in cutting. But some of the other differences is like
durable.
Look at the size difference in the finger choil. Right?
Yeah, the finger choil really cuts quick on the one, and that's why I sold mine. I was like, I'm not going to be able to use that. And I said it doesn't have jimping.
Yeah.
But the 5, oh, buddy, my big fat hands.
Yeah, the 5
like an
is
extension of my unit.
Also, the round hole is significantly bigger on the 5.
Yeah, the 5 is my all-time favorite, but I love every iteration that it's gone through.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that though. Like, that's a cool grind.
Having that hollow grind.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is a hollow grind down here.
Yes, I love that about it. Makes it such a slicer. But yes, Landing said it. That gives the look of a total weapon, but God, it looks good.
Yeah, there's a Desert Storm version out there that was only available for lottery. So I'm always looking for one to come up.
They had the Desert Storm. Okay, they did have other ones that were like military that had the tan handles, right?
Well, Spyderco,
they come in a blister pack.
Here, Spyderco does a lottery for military members, and if you're forward deployed and send them a message, they put you in the lottery. And they send out about 10,000 knives a year to forward deployed people.
Oh,
so
I love that.
The Desert Storm one is there's an OD green. The Desert Storm one is the Coyote tan. It's pretty cool, and it's got the Operation Desert Storm on there.
Yes, I've seen that one. Yeah, it's beautiful. I was like, I had the option to buy one at one point. I was like, oh, I kind of want it.
And I think
I would have just gifted it to Landing now.
I was deployed for the end part of Southern Watch, so I'm always looking for like one of those. Well,
I wish I got it just so I could have sent it to you, buddy. It's a hell of a knife, right? And let's see what it. This one's boring. I don't even want to go back. It's a stretch.
You don't like the stretch?
Actually, it's not bad.
That's
looking at getting one.
This is an incredible knife. The steel, it's a Vitoku too, but it's laminated, right? So it's a Japanese steel made from Swedish iron ore, but it's like laminated in stainless, right? So you've got you have
the sandwich with SUS or G or something, and they did that with some other ones as well that were a little less stainless.
I think it's
so they did it with HAP 40, Super Blue.
Yeah.
They've done it with like even ZDP 189 and for some reason S90V, and I was like, why coat S90V?
Yeah. There was I had one of the Manixes from Golden that was S90V, and it was clad with CPM 154.
Yeah, it's weird.
My guess for why they did that, and even with ZDP, is it's not for corrosion resistance. It's more for just strength. For example, like I've got some Japanese kitchen knives, and they're clad in like a carbon steel that's just going to rust, right? It's like, oh, why wouldn't they clad it in stainless? Well, that adds an extra cost, and the main purpose of the cladding is for strength.
I was just thinking of like the katana, how like the middle has the strength and the other side has the flex, etc.
Yeah.
And I had a Cali 3.5 that had ZDP with the SUS 410 on it, and it was just a scratch magnet, but it gave it that little bit of extra, nothing against ZDP 189, man. Oh my God, I got an Enduro for that for the kitchen. Great steel.
Another thing about this knife is that steel is incredibly easy to sharpen.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on the Vitoku too.
It takes a strop really well.
Yeah.
This is the sharpest knife I have, so I have to be
I'd like
careful.
to see them do a K390 clad with like a 420. That would be nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be very cool. I do have, speaking of K390, might
Oh,
as
there
well
you
just go through my Japanese knives right now. This is the K390 Dragonfly.
I have the Ladybug for my wife. That's about it.
Nice.
K390.
Yeah, my wife has a Ladybug as well, but it's one of the Vitoku ones.
I gave her originally the purple one, and I was like, no, I'm going to get you one that lasts forever. Cut everything.
So, fun fact about the Dragonfly is in Canada, this knife is legal
Plain
to carry
legal.
on domestic flights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
so
show you the one I took on my domestic flight, man.
it's got a 60 millimeter blade, and the way that they measure it, or the way that they're supposed to measure it, is basically from the very front of like the scale,
Yep.
right, to the tip of the blade. And I used to work at Victoria International Airport, and I would always bring knives with me, and but they've got like a little like template where they stick the knife on, and it's like, oh, line it up. If the blade falls within like the size limit, it's good to go, right?
Yep.
My suggestion for anyone trying to take these on a flight, you're guaranteed to, at some point, you're going to run into some screening agent who is going to try to, overstep their authority and try to confiscate the knife from you or not let you take it on the flight. This knife you can easily just stick in a padded envelope with a $2 stamp and mail it back to yourself.
Yep.
Right? So that's a good insurance policy if you're flying with one of these.
So does that mean if you're going to go fly with one, you should pre-do an envelope?
Yeah.
Carry it with you.
Yeah. A $2 stamp. That's all you need. While I'm on Japanese knives, I'll show you kind of a unique sprint run.
Oh yes.
This is the Spyderhawk.
Yeah.
It's an H1.
And it's serrated, which is the only H1 you ever want.
Yeah, that's
Period.
true.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big
I had
knife.
the H1 serrated Dragonfly, and man, that thing was a badass.
This
I
is a
also
pretty
had the
big knife.
Ladybug
It's based.
Hawk belt.
This is based off the old Endura, and it's got the like the FRN has, I think they call it like the volcano pattern,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's got the old barrel style clip, just like on the old Native, right? If you want something like this without having to track down, this is a sprint run, or the old version is discontinued, the old yellow one. But if you do want a similar knife, the Tasman.
Yep.
It's a bit smaller, right? But the Tasman is essentially a Delica. Sorry if I can hold these both without covering them with my hands.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's having the smaller one.
yeah. So, I mean, this one, it's like, I don't know how useful it actually is over the smaller version. I have it because it's neat. So
Oh yeah.
If you're crab fishing or something, that would probably, you're going to be cutting a lot of rope wet. That's going to be, the design you want, right?
yeah.
That's why I went with the Ladybug Hawk bill in H1, and it was an awesome, just little H1 rust proof that you just throw on your keys and forget about.
Yeah.
While we're going through H1, I'll just bust this one out again.
Love the assist.
Yeah. So I had a VG10 assist, and I would carry it, and I would just, I'd carry it in my pocket, like, on doing patrol and stuff with landing in the summer. But I was finding it was actually starting to rust.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It stays in the pocket, right? And so I ended up selling it, and then I wasn't planning on getting another one, but I found this one for a decent price, and I was like, oh shit, like I should just get that.
Now
So-
close it and show them the hidden awesomeness.
Oh, there's
Last
two hidden
punch.
awesomeness on this knife.
There's
Actually,
two
three.
hidden awesomenesses.
There's three. So
Oh yeah, right.
so for starters,
Any knife can do this, by the way, especially if it's serrated.
there's a little detent right here.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of build that in so it stops there. It just doesn't snap closed. And then you can use this with these like finger grips if you want to like cut a rope or something.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's the thing that most knives do. I started playing with other knives.
It's supposed to be the tip that's a rope cutter, right? Or not?
No. The serrations essentially. You
like
put it on one of those
serrations at the front. I thought.
Yeah, I don't have a rope
at the front. It's a plain edge.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's all.
So the other hidden, or one of the other hidden features is if you squeeze this, boom, you get a carbide glass breaker that sticks out the bottom. Yeah.
And what's the third one? Let us hear.
The third one.
play us
like
a tune.
harmonica. Got a whistle. So
your dog's gonna come running.
Storm whistle.
He actually doesn't like those kind of sounds. He's gonna run away. Pretty cool knife. One of the things that I've heard people discuss is this little nub here, right?
It's safety.
People are like, "Oh, what's that for? Like, is it for safety, or is it if you're cutting like a seat belt? Is it just gonna give a little extra catch to make sure that you get through it?" And I was like, I was looking at this one day, and I'm like, it's for none of those things. That little nub is so that you have a solid edge.
Oh, it's at the push. That's the push.
Breaker,
oh,
right?
Damn.
Because when the blade closes, I don't know if you can see this, but that glass breaker piece, the tip of the blade has to push into that, right? Yeah. So that's what that little tip is for.
I assumed it was for safety because of the random tip when you go under the pants to cut the pants, because that's what that's also designed for. The straight edge is going to start cutting your pants.
It's you know, I'm sure that as well, but I think primarily.
Yeah,
I love it.
For what we like to call in the industry being trauma nude.
Anyway, it's a nice handle. So.
Silence.
I like that you got shot down there, Lanny.
No, it's true. It's trauma nude for your blood sweep.
There you go.
All right. I might as well bust out a couple of Golden Made knives. Here's one that I acquired recently. This is the this is the Native Chief from St. Nick's. Yeah. They didn't make that many of these guys. I think only around 600. But this is 4V steel, DLC coated. It's a bit of a pocket sword, but it's like lightweight.
Well, being G10, right? That's awesome for that blade.
There's no liners, but very cool knife.
It's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
I just had to have one of those St. Nick's knives, right?
No, sorry, I'm a big user, and 4V on a Spyderco doesn't make sense to me because there won't be any prying with that knife ever, else you will snap at that hole. You know what I mean?
So?
I dedicate my Spydercos to slicing and never prying because you will snap at that hole. I just can't do it.
Another one I'll bust out. This is a Mannix Sprint Run. This one's X90V.
I went nuts on Mannixes for a month, and I bought 2 crew wares, the original 2012 versions. I had the Freydon 4V Mannix.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
With the Saber, I ended up selling it, unfortunately, for really cheap, which really I kicked myself in the ass. But this is beautiful. Yeah,
this knife, it's actually kind of like a prodigal knife. I sold this one I did a trade with a guy. It was a deal that I couldn't pass up. And I didn't want to sell it. I didn't want to get rid of it, but it would have been stupid to not take this deal. Yeah. Anyways, I ended up seeing it for sale like a year later, and I'm like, dude, you still have the knife? And he was selling it. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'll buy it back. So,
nice.
I was like, yeah. So I have it back. It's a great knife. This is one of the ones with full liners. So it's a bit of a tank. These things, I think they weigh just over 5 ounces.
I think most of the G10 versions have full liners still.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're sticking with it because of that ball cage.
The basic version, the basic
FRCP or whatever, the plastic scales do not have liners, but they are starting to do construction with not pins, which is nice.
Yeah, so actually, this knife, the Mannix Lightweight, it does actually have liners. They're just really small.
They're super skeletonized? Or?
Nope. They're So basically, it's the liner. I mean, I can't really. It's really hard to show you, but I encourage you to like look up a picture of one of these things disassembled. Hard to do because they are pinned.
Yeah.
But between the pivot and this pin here, which essentially sandwiches together that like back piece there, there's actually like a little almost teardrop shaped liner in there, right? And there is phosphor bronze washers in there, right?
Oh, that's nice. When
So-
I had the Rex 45 plastic handle one, I don't think it had that.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, it did
They
it.
all do.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I never noticed it because
Yeah.
it kind of sounds like a Griptilian, the full size Griptilian, how it has that
Yeah.
small liner. And
I
that's-
think,
that's
like,
perfect.
If you won't be able to see this, but if you open the knife and like look back here,
Oh, you'll see this. Yeah, you see the
can just-
steel.
there
Right.
is, you can see they're like little, almost like teardrop liners in there. So,
Oh, that's all
but
right.
it makes for like that drop shot action that you won't get with another lightweight that only has like FRN against the blade.
And again, the FRN or that plastic that they use on that one, FRCP or something, whatever, it's super strong. People always have
Yeah.
issues. Oh, it fluxes. Oh, it does this. No, man, I love the FRN natives just as much as I love the G10 or whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
Just
they're
remember-
just as strong to me.
Just remember, things
This-
that don't flex break. They snap.
Well, that's another thing. If it doesn't flex, you're gonna have a catastrophic failure somewhere.
yeah. These like the FRN, FRCP lightweights that they make, they're incredibly sturdy. They're
Yes,
I would
that's a big question people have.
I would almost say that they're sturdier than, you know, your standard like liner G10 construction. I'm not going to do any destructive tests, but
Yeah.
I've got no concerns there. I might as well finish up this roll of golden and Japanese made knives. This is, you know, one of the most sought after sprint runs when it came out was the Crewwear Micarta Shaman. These are
Yeah.
getting hard to find.
You won't hear much from me. That's one of the shittiest knives they make, man. Everybody's so hyped about these knives, and they aren't great in hand. They don't have good action because that nub hits your finger on your compression lock, which is supposed to be a nice closed lock. I got the Zedware Crewwear or Zedware Micarta version. Yeah, I like Zedware because it's Crewwear.
Yeah.
But it's not my model, man. I can't deal with that model, and I have big hands. But I can't get behind this model, and people only take photos of it. It is a photo knife, period, for me.
This
I'm
one
sorry.
I carry. I do have a Zedware one that sits in a box.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the
But-
one that I dropped?
This is the one that Lanning dropped. It was kind of
Okay.
funny because I went over to his place and he's like, hey, he's showing me his K390 Spyderco stretch. And I'm like, oh, here, like, look at my knife while I'm looking at your knife. And then this knife is just suddenly like airborne, getting like fumbled. And then he
Caught it
caught
on
it
your boot.
with his, like the
Caught
tip of his boot. And then it just kind of bounced off and like landed on like the concrete. And this like landing was like, keep my knife. It's yours now. Like, here, just take it. Just take it.
Aw.
And I was like, no, it's fine. So there were like my Carta, like it took a couple of, like there were a couple little dings in it, but what did we do? We like took a
No, I gave you a
magic eraser. I ended up actually like taking a wire brush, like a heavy duty wire brush to this, just to roughen up the scale.
Why not? If you're using it, modify it to how you see fit. I removed the nub so my finger wouldn't hit. Somebody still bought it because I was like, I can't love this knife. It's not my knife, unfortunately.
I see why people remove the nubs. I mean, that issue doesn't bother me that much. Like, I can get my finger out of the way.
Yeah, my big fat. I can move mine if I'm consciously like going in out. I can remove, but I just want to close it lazy. Or if I was in a situation, you know, I remove the nub. And again, skinny mod also is a no.
Oh yeah.
Skinny mod for anything is a no.
Right.
Also, by the way, I can see every feed, and Riley's actually having a nap. So
Yeah.
It's funny. I was like so much Spyderco. Riley's probably over there drinking Windex right now.
no, the whole thing is, we do an episode like this. Riley joined in. We're gonna have to do an episode that Riley wants to do that we're gonna hate that we have to join in on.
Oh, wait till we do one.
I doubt it. We'll do one on GM.
Ah! I'm out.
So I'm going to move over to my Taichung Knives. Spyderco, like they've got manufacturers in, like their main manufacturer is in Golden, Colorado, right? With a lot of the knives being made in Seki City, Japan, or Moki, Japan. When Spyderco started having these knives made in Taichung, Taiwan, everyone was freaking out because nobody wanted what they call, oh, this is Chinese-made knives. It's like, well, no, these knives are not being made in, like, you know, communist mainland China. This is like this is a democratic country with like super high-end manufacturing. Like, wait till you see what they put out, right? So I did show you the Spidey Chef and the Techno earlier. Those are made in Taichung, Taiwan. But this is one that I just picked up. It's a Blade HQ exclusive Sage 5 lightweight.
Yep.
This is M4 steel. It's got the black, I think it's like the titanium nitride coating or whatever.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
it's a sweet
That's
coating.
really nice knife.
Yeah, it's got it's a lightweight, but it has skeletonized liners.
Oh, nice.
So this is it's comparable to like the Para 3 lightweight.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit heavier,
And nicer.
but it's way nicer,
Yep.
nicer. Out of the box, it comes with this.
Well, yeah, every compression lock should hopefully do that. But yeah, it just drops.
So this one, I haven't taken it apart to confirm it, but I'm told that it has a pivot bushing in there. So, you know, similar to a Sabenza, where you don't have to fine tune the tension on the pivot screw to get that perfect action. Great little knife, and it's kind of funny because it came with a stick of Wrigley's mint gum in the box. So yeah, they're still available through Blade HQ. They do ship to Canada.
Yep.
But that's a
Just
risk.
gotta be careful.
Yeah. Another one I will pull out. This is a favorite among a lot of people. Is the Capara.
Now, my gripe with the Capara was that front finger choil and how your finger can slide forward. And as I was demonstrating that at my local knife shop, I cut myself on the blade.
Oh no!
Because my finger slid forward.
Maybe your fingers are too big.
Yes, my fingers are too big for that knife.
I would maybe see a doctor about that. There's got to be a pill or something.
It's called being a real man. Come on.
See, there they go again with that wire clip. I know why people like it, but in use, I hate the feeling of that moving under my hand.
I love it. It just wire clip. Just ignore it and go.
Yeah, but it moves too much when you use it. That's
You
what
move too much. Shut up and enjoy the wire clip.
true.
So, the cool thing about this knife is the way that they've done this compression lock. I'll just show you in comparison to the Paramilitary 2. It's just a nice design feature that, like, you see how the PM2, it's the compression lock is just kind of like, you know, it's got that little notch in it or whatnot. Right? I guess that's to do with the fact that this has got nested liners, but this one, like, just to see the way
Oh,
that
it's
they've
just a
done
flat
that.
bar. That looks cool.
Yeah. So
I didn't even notice that when I played with it.
yeah. Somebody pointed it out to me because I didn't even pay any attention to it, and somebody pointed it out to me, like, "Oh, look at the way that they've done that." I'm like, "Oh, good point."
That is neat.
Yeah.
It's almost like a real liner lock, but upside down versus it looks it's solid. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
That really gives to that whole it's an upside down liner lock theory.
Yeah, and this knife as well. It's got it's a CQI version, which has a bushing. So again, it's just a nice like drop shutty action.
Don't say it has a drop shut action. How dare you say drop
Droppy
shutty?
shutty.
Droppy shutty. There you go. I'm nothing of that. I like that. That's cute.
So one of my ambitions or whatever lately is I'm trying to collect all the Gail Bradley collaborations. There's about 7 of them in total. Most of them are discontinued now. The first one that I was able to get, and this may have been the last one in Canada, was the Gail Bradley Advocate.
Oh yeah, those. Yeah, I like the orange peel on the tie. That looks.
Yeah. So not a lot of knives actually have that sort of orange peel titanium finish. See if I can get the light to reflect this at all.
You get that bumps, and I like that orange peel on there.
Nice looking knife. Yeah, really nice looking.
Like, and that blade grind, like.
And see, I would think Riley would like the Gail Bradley stuff. Of all the Spydercos, if there's one to like for a guy who doesn't like Spyderco, that the Gail Bradley, his designs are just, man, they're so cool.
Yeah,
that's the most looking Spyderco.
This one, it's they're M4 steel on all of his folders.
Yeah, I like that.
The only issue that people have with this one and the other ones as well is the lock it's a little tough.
And
it's a little tiny nub here. It's kind of sharp. Some people will round that off a little bit with a file.
It hurts the office people's fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is just super nice blade. They're getting hard to find because it is a discontinued model.
You've never even shown me that one in person.
Oh, you're gonna drop it.
I know. I want to drop it.
So one of those from that line, it's still available, is the Gail Bradley 2.
Yeah, I had one for about 5 minutes before I sold mine. The guy sold it to me, and the detent was shot.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
another nice blade shape. This one has a hollow grind.
Yep.
The complaint with these knives is the liner lock access. There's no cutout for it. This was actually designed on purpose. Gail Bradley wanted a knife that's basically going to deploy and then turn into a fixed blade. And if you're doing heavy work with it, there's going to be no chance of you disengaging that lock. So, and of course, with the Gail Bradley 2, I needed to go back in time and find a Gail Bradley 1.
Oh shit!
So this one I found locally, used condition. Came with a nice like patina blade because the guy would use it in the kitchen cutting like peppers and tomatoes and stuff.
It's interesting seeing the two together.
Yeah, I'll put them side by side and show you the differences.
It's not a huge gap, but there's a gap, right?
You can see that very well.
Yeah, you see that little bit of that. Almost like the choil area gets moved back, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I preferred the 2 over the 1 for that aspect.
The real big difference between them is the thickness of the liners.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to cut in real quick. I'm just going to tell you something right now. This last 15, 20 minutes is really started to make me like Spyderco again. So I hate it.
Right?
And I love it.
It's hard. Man, you see some of the good stuff and it's like, oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, Brendan, how many are left there? We're running long here, and I got 4 to show.
Not many.
Quick.
Not many. Really not many.
Okay.
I only have a couple.
Pick some of the best here.
Okay. Speaking of Gail Bradley, this is a Gail Bradley.
Yeah, that's not seen very often.
Junction, right?
Super nice and expensive.
At least they worked the hole in there.
Yeah.
Right? They put the damn hole.
Yeah, you got to have that signature hole. These are kind of neat. The steel is PSF 27, which is like a spray form D2 apparently.
Yeah.
Not CPM, but a spray form, which is gonna achieve sort of the same thing.
That's still a tough knife. That's it.
And of course, the bigger brother to that, which is the Bowie. So both these knives are discontinued, getting hard to find. So
I think somebody should string up all their Spydercos like Christmas lights on their patio.
Yeah, the Bowie is one
hole.
that's really sought after.
Yeah,
that's become such a cult classic for Spyderco.
The issue with this one is the price. They're pretty expensive. I found a smoking deal, in some little store in the States with that guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll do.
Oh, we've got picked
One
up my
more here.
first Spyderco PM3
One of
last
my
week.
favorite. This is absolutely probably top 3 favorite Spydercos right here.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in. I have a pet peeve. Sorry to the commenter, but it's not a PM3. It's actually a Para 3. There is no paramilitary 3.
I do that too. I kind of get, but I've learned to accept it.
So the paramilitary lineup is separate from the para lineup. The Para 3, the 3 actually means like 3 inches because it's a 3-inch blade. There's lineage, like it's sort of, they look very similar. But the paramilitary 2 might actually there might be like a paramilitary 3, which is not around yet.
Yeah, the Para is a sub knife, kind of like the Native Chief or the Little Native compared to the Native 5.
Well,
Yeah,
Nick
yeah.
Shabazz,
It's in the family.
you know what Nick Shabazz was saying was basically the Para 3 essentially was Spyderco's afraid to give up the Delica, but essentially it's the new Delica, the Para 3. They could essentially get rid of the Delica and just have the
Well,
Para.
Nick Shabazz can take his little baby hands. It's funny because whenever I used to kind of joke about Nick, I would do a really crappy Gilbert Gottfried impression. God rest his soul. I was like, "Yeah, Para 3, you got little hands on here. You got the Para 3 is 3 inches. You can compare it to the Rat 1, the Rat 2."
This is
how I do my Nick Shabazz impression here. I just
Yes.
and then
Oh, Splat Poop's coming in from Twitch TV. I appreciate you tuning in. We're new on there. And yes, RIP to Gilbert Gottfried and my terrible impression that you will never hear again, and these guys as well.
Well, no,
yeah, it's gonna get really confusing when they make a Para 3 2. That's really gonna throw people
The
off.
Para 32. What happened to the other 30 of them?
Yeah.
But I know you don't like Metal Complex, but on April Fools, Metal Complex did a video pretending he was Nick Shabazz, and Nick Shabazz did pretending he was Metal Complex, and the Metal Complex version of Nick Shabazz. You know how Nick kind of, he kind of gets into it. When he did it on, it was absolutely hilarious. You got to watch it.
I wanted to do one with those little baby arm hands holding the knife, like those little baby hands that people have. I wanted to do that, holding the knife, and do my shitty Gilbert Gottfried. We're off topic. I'm sorry. Show us the sub help. That Volatin is pretty damn awesome. I should have picked it up at LeBaron's when I had the chance.
Picked this one up recently, secondary market. It's another discontinued. It's the Subhilt Volatin, Lil Subhilt.
That's a little one, yeah.
Yeah, so the full size one is still in production, but just a beautiful knife, heavy. Like it's a little tank. It's got
Look at the
liners and G10 and bolsters.
And my wife wants the big sized one.
The blade stops how they go into the bolster. That knife is made for hard work.
Yeah.
You do that for lateral stability. So that knife is with that tip, with that like a Japanese Tonto tip, and those thumb studs locking in like that. That knife is actually made for real work.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and unfortunately, anybody that owns those will never put them through work. Even though the full size is available, I'd get one. I would love to put it through work, but it's like a really heavy gentleman's knife.
Yeah,
and it just looks so damn good. They made it look too damn good.
Look at that hollow grind. Look at how freaking sick that is. That's one of the best looking blades they make.
Splat again with the stunning blade remark, and it really is. The Volatin is an unbelievable blade in both iterations.
Yeah, I might as well do one more. I think this is going to wrap it up for me.
Alrighty,
this one was on my list for a long time. Was the the Chaparral.
Now it's not the other version with the color. I'm noticing.
Yeah, so this you're thinking of the stepped titanium one.
Yes.
This was actually the they call it like the stealth or whatever, right?
Right.
I'm not entirely sure how they put like put that pattern in. I think it is milled, just to guess, because
definitely
these aren't completely flat, right? It's not just like grain. Like if I rub my finger along here, it's bumpy.
Oh yeah, it's
not
completely milled, right? That's laser etched and cut and whatever.
Or not, because if you look at the way it hits the light, the individual fine lines have to oppose each other to create that light like that. So the lines creating the one triangle have to oppose the other, otherwise it wouldn't look like that. And I think the only way to really do that would probably have to be with a mill, with the CNC, because a laser would cut, I would imagine, straight, like not 490-degree angle to the.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to change the angle of it constantly.
Yeah, you would need like a practice lathe. I mean, that's
angles.
It's a great knife too. It's part of that native family, more or less. And I had one as well in the CF with the XHP, and I gave it to a buddy. And of course,
I actually find this very similar, very kind of similar to like the Mannix.
Yep, it's that same family, that leaf blade family. Like it's more similar, obviously, to me because of the native love. But it is a great knife.
Also, it's kind of bears resemblance to the Sage. But the cool thing about that knife is, like, a lot of people don't know that it actually has a stop pin built inside, and it really helps tighten up that backlock. A lot of backlocks aren't super secure, right? Just the mechanism of the lock, but with a stop pin to sort of help the forces of the lock kind of keep it in place, makes it just a really secure lock.
It's so that's one of those internal pins made it slotted on the back, and then the stop pin rides within.
Yeah,
like a Spyderco triad lock, essentially.
Exactly.
Exactly what it is.
It's like it's an internal stop pin.
Yeah, that's cool.
This one was actually supposed to be the first Chaparral, but it was too difficult for them to make. They couldn't figure out how to produce it yet. So this ended up being the second one that they produced. The first one was the carbon fiber scale one.
Oh, not. You know what? Sorry, we got a good question there. So, are you wrapped up there, Brandon?
That's all I got.
Half a second.
Other than it,
I actually almost bought that Chaparral. But it was Raffir. Awesome. But it was because of the Raffir Noble scales that they have on the one.
Splat. With that Slim Pro, I didn't buy the Slim Pro. I bought the 110 Pro with the micarta and the aluminum, and it's awesome. I had the regular Pro that weighed 80,000 pounds. The new one, they improved the clip, gives you a deep carry clip without this huge anvil cutout on it. Excuse me. The micarta is awesome. The stud works well. The stud does get in the way if you're using a guided system sometimes, so you might have to pop it off. But other than that new 110 Sport, they call it, for the Sport Pro, is really good. I can't speak to the Slim, but I'm sure it's just as good because I have the micarta Slim from when they were pinned together, and it's pretty awesome as well.
I want to get the one that you have, the anniversary 110.
Only Riley has that one now. The carbon fiber with S45.
Or I think I heard also that is there like a one? Is it the 112? What's the Ranger? The
112. The new 112. They have the 50th anniversary or something of that. That's sick.
But yeah, is the 112 the same essentially build as that?
I don't know. They have a sport version, which is the same thing.
Because that's S30. That's S35.
His is S45.
This is S45.
Paul Boss treated S45.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. There's so much to be said about that. Yeah, if I could find one locally, it would be great. I just got to put it in hand, right? You know what I mean? That's a nice.
I got some fucking thing popping up on my screen.
I've used it.
Sorry.
This side of it, son of a bitch, and I hadn't sharpened it yet. So
I did the acid wash on that thing, and man, the thing looked awesome. But I'm just more of a 110 guy. I think I should buy a 112 just to have fun and play with a Ranger. But the Pro 110 now, the Sport, is pretty awesome. And that other one's pretty. I'm going to show my limited what I was going to say about Spyderco, and I'm going to show one that Brandon might like. Again, I'm just showing this version. I have a lot of natives. I have the Crewwear and the flat G10 and the S90V with the fluted carbon fiber. This, that, and the other. Native 5, awesome knife. Also, he failed to show a little native. And this is my other little native.
Ooh.
I showed my other one earlier with copper and Rex 45. This is M4 and some Python micarta scales. So this is a real nice, smooth criminal. One other one. The other two are slip joints. We're going to go leaf shape again. We are right back into the UK PK.
There you go.
Used to have the titanium version with S30V. I ended up moving that one along, which, it happens.
Nice
But this
patina.
one, pretty awesome. That's acid wash in copper on that one. That's the LC200N. That is the crazy rust resistant, and I put it in the dark blue scales with the black dye to make it a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea looking one.
That's cool.
So it actually, in person, you actually have copper coming up on all the little nips. You can kind of see a little bit of color.
Nice.
And the one that Brandon might be jealous of is an LMAX titanium squeak.
Oh,
Now, this you won't get any. I managed to nab it at the right time, right place before they went discontinued. But holy shit, like I love the squeak, even with the 3-finger grip, and the way that choil acts as a non-closer. The Urban doesn't do this for me. The Urban doesn't fit my hand right, which sucks because it has some nice sprints. But this and the UK PK are 100% good to go for me,
nice.
But that one, I figured Brandon might enjoy seeing something a little bit.
I had the
rare coming
opportunity
through.
to buy one of those once, and
Yeah, so I ruined it. I didn't ruin it. I stonewashed the titanium actually. But LMAX,
no, looks good.
hell of a knife. This is my plane carry that I took a picture of it. I got my wife to hold it next to the window seat, and I took a photo of it on the plane. So that's my 4 kind of must-have Spydercos as well. Other than that, I mean, it's good and bad because. Oh, sorry. Hold on. We have another Spyderco here that we have to zoom in. First, we're going to check out Riley's Spyderco here.
This is something that somebody gave me. No, I'm just kidding.
A
Native
dirtbag
5,
Native
S90V.
S90V, that's right.
Yeah.
We did a little scale swap there, but
Oh, is okay. Yeah, I was wondering. That's
Yeah.
Rex 45 scales.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also ruined my Rex 45 G10 one because I copper washed the crap out of it, and it's 100% copper and patinaed now. It looks awesome. It's all orange, like dark orange with the orange handle. Looks pretty sweet. Now, Lanning, do you want to speak to your stovepipe real quick?
Yeah.
The knife.
Yeah. Let me just 2 seconds because I had to plug
Yeah,
in.
the knife, not your hat, not your stovepipe hat.
You know what I'm saying? Let me just grab it because it's. I had to plug it.
Don't grab the hat. He's gonna grab the damn stovepipe hat, and I know it.
No,
Him into that damn hat.
Yeah. No, so this.
Okay.
This knife, I know I've spoken about it on the show before. This is one of the coolest knives I've ever.
Lanning,
Entire
one
life.
sec. Sorry, we don't do bronze scales. Does anybody know anybody that does bronze scales? We got another one from Splat coming in on Twitch. You have to be more knife specific, Splat. I'll hit you up. Sorry, go ahead, Lanning.
So price. When I saw this knife on the reel, and I think Paul, I messaged you. Part of it was spite.
It was the spite against the people that hated it. He was like, I'm buying it.
But it's like that thing. As soon as I saw this knife, I was like, I have to have that. It wasn't. Here's the thing with me. I see knives maybe differently than other people. When I saw this knife, immediately I thought to myself, that is extremely useful. It's polarized in a way that it looks really cool, but it's still very functional. It's almost artistic in the way that it was designed. And it's expensive, but I think a lot of people don't really understand what they're paying for. When you deal with a production knife, which it is, if you look across like the Spyderco line, Benchmade stuff, their hardware and things that they do all same. They're pit. These are the same. They're you do with a knife like this, like everything is specifically made for this knife. Like the fact that these pivots, they have to.
Damn it, Landing, you're cutting out so much.
Oh,
He's saying really important things too.
I know when you say something really good, it's cutting, man. I don't know if your net's just having a crap.
I
today.
feel like it's because he's holding his iPad or whatever it is.
No. It seems like he was cutting a lot. Sorry, folks. Landing has a lot good to say. He's not even coming in now.
I don't know.
Landing.
What to say?
I said you had a lot of good to say.
Well, I'm trying.
Unfortunately, you're cutting out a lot.
Am I still out?
Yeah, it's still. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Your internet's
well,
just pooped today.
I'll just show it.
Kid, here, I'll show you what Kid says. He thought he was having a stroke, and poor Landing saying all this good stuff, and he was cutting out the whole time. This poor man. You might have to restart your router before we do the show when you join in, if and when you join in next. You just maybe do a quick router restart.
Yeah, or just
that.
come over to my place
Poor Kid is questioning his medical state of mind.
No, what I'll say. Am I coming over now?
Yeah, just talk quick.
What I'll say is that it's a great knife. I love it.
Senha.
Brandon, shut up! Let him talk. You're gonna make him cut.
Yeah, everybody shut up. What I'll say is it's the only Spyderco now, with the exception of my broken 3, which I'm going to send to you all. And although it's probably the most expensive one you can buy, I don't feel even the slightest bit bad about spending what I spent on this knife. It's amazing. I love to use it, carry it, play it, look at it. It's a great. And if you're on the fence, don't read what people are writing online. Just get one for yourself. If you like one, if you like what this is, if you like the design, you're gonna love this knife. Absolutely top notch, super high quality. There's nothing on the knife that's like cheap. There's no corners cut. This is just beyond as far as the quality, beyond anything else that I've seen them do. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that comes to say the Taichung factory really puts out the good stuff. And again, Landing, if you were to buy that, I mean, if somebody hates it, hold on to it for a year and turn it around and get your money back.
Yeah, when this thing is $1,000 next year because you can't find it everywhere, all the people that would talk shit about this online that are trying to get one are going to be eating their own salad. I don't even
look. We got a little bit of support there. Of course, I don't know how many people in Ukraine would be watching this, unfortunately.
Hey, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
We give our love and support to Ukrainians as well. We all do. We feel that shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So again, I still have had my good and bad with Spyderco. I mean, I've collected a lot over the years, gone through them, been through the Loctite BS.
Oh.
So we hear Brandon. Everybody's been through the Loctite. I ruined a PM2 with that, and that was fine. I was changing skills anyways. So I mean, I'm not 100% for them. I'm not against them though. I'm still enjoying their products for what they are to be used for.
Yeah, in my opinion, they're a very accessible knife.
Yes.
If you're getting into knife collecting, like it's an easy place to start.
Again, you start with the budget. You start Bird, or you get a Tenacious.
Yeah, and then you can move all the way up to like the higher end Taichung stuff or whatever discontinued. Like it's a really easy brand to pick a direction, right? They have all kinds of different steels. They use more steels than any other knife maker that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's one thing I really love about them is the different steels that I get to try. Yeah. So I found M4 is my favorite. So and they also I don't know if anyone has had the chance to look over at the Spyderco Forum. All the big people are on there, like Sal and Eric Gless are on there, like Michael Janich is on there as well. And you get to talk directly to the makers and the owners, which is even if it's something stupid, right?
They actually get they're they take influence from input on the forum when they're making their knives, right? And if there's issues that
unfortunately,
come up,
Lanning's cutting out a lot, but he would tell you the story about that stovepipe. You know, back in 2010, the guy was like, "Can I use the hole to put on the knife?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." And then eventually, Spyderco was like, "Here is his knife. It's awesome."
Yeah.
You can see in the 2010 post when David Rybaum finished the knife, it was exactly this. And I can tell you with certainty, this is a exact one-to-one of the custom, 100%. And I spoke to David Rybaum last week. We messaged back and forth a little bit because he's gotten a handful of these to modify.
We're buds.
And no, I just had a question. And this is, for what it costs. I mean, because his knives start around, $1,000. It makes that design accessible. And at the end of the day, like anything else in this world, when it comes to vehicles, movies, blonde girls versus brunettes, if you don't like what you're looking at, move on. There's other stuff out there for you.
And Lanning and I spoke briefly last week about this, is that it's putting a custom in your hands for half the price or more.
Exactly.
Okay, so I spoke that I had the McBee, which was McNee's Killer Bee Spyderco, and my God, it felt like a custom in my hands. I'm surprised Brandon didn't pull one of those out as well.
I had one until recently. I sold it.
Such a great little using knife, though. Like, I really enjoyed using it. I was like, damn.
I will say this. I don't think that people take into consideration whenever they buy a knife, even like the stovepipe, even though I'm not a fan, I will say that I think people need to take into account the person that designed it. You're not paying him for the hours that it took for that knife to be put together. You're paying him for the years of experience it took him to be able to come up with that out of his freaking head.
Yeah.
And put it to paper and then put it to life and then put it in your fucking hand. Sorry.
I know.
But that's, I mean, you're paying for that as well. So I think that's a hidden cost because people don't pay attention to that.
Well, that was
again,
I was for quite a while and dealing with pretty well-known people, and the question coming out about concert ticket prices, album prices, favorite guitar player's model of his guitar. If you're not buying, yes, you can buy a cute penguin, which is essentially almost like a cleaver blade for $50. But how long did it take? You look at some of these companies, and I don't want to downplay the companies. So this is not doing this, but these companies, a lot of these Chinese brands like and such, are putting out 100 knife designs a month. What effort are they really putting into other? The similarities in those knives are all the same, and then it's like somebody's just sitting out in the back smoking a stogie and drawing some on paper. Hey, that's going to be our knife.
I designed my knife in like 10 minutes, and then I got Guy Bedingfield to make it. And it was a little friction folder, whatever, and I was like, boom.
Yeah,
right.
So,
but that's it. You're paying for experience in the field, trials and errors. You're just paying for their expertise.
And this came up with about a hinderer because I carry a hinderer mostly now. I've pretty much really settled on that. And people go, why do they cost $600? Well, he makes his own hardware, all of it. There's nothing off the shelf on a hinderer.
Every screw, every barrel spacer, everything is done in house.
And unlike Spyderco, he makes like a couple of models of knife, and they don't change other than maybe some upgrades to them. But
that's it. He does the CQI as well, which is why, yes, they look the same as the last year. But this one now, because I was like, oh shit, the technology advanced. It's now got a lock bar stabilizer. Now it's got a the insert on the lock bar. Now it's got bearings, right?
Spyderco was like that. They didn't like, and people they didn't like the way that the detent ball was cutting into the tang, so they started putting a V-notch in the tang, and then it was stepped, and then it was so there's constant improvement.
That's why it's a native 5. It's the 5th iteration they've done. That's why it's a Delica 4 or whatever it is or Endura 4, because they've gone through the iterations to make the most perfect version of that specific model. So I can see people being like, oh, they're all the same, blah, blah, blah. But honestly,
it's kind of funny that 90% of the brands, we have to justify the reason why we bought them, though.
Again, 100%.
Saying I like what 100%. I like, and it's my money.
That's exactly it, right? So it doesn't matter that Riley doesn't like it and will make fun of it. It's like, I will never not like my Native 5s. It's my favorite model from Spyderco, and it took me too long to find, and I love it for what it is.
If you look at the Spydercos, a lot of there's a lock bar insert. And you know what? If it's done properly, and here's the other thing we were talking about, you know how hard it is to do that? Because lock bar inserts, they're cool, but at the end of the day, it's not for you.
It's a maker tool.
Because if Spyderco screws this face up, they're going to make an entire lock, an entire scale. If this gets screwed up, the entire scale is shot. So the lock bar insert allows them to have inconsistencies because they can just take the insert off and fix the insert. Yep. So it's actually more expensive and it's more difficult to do a proper titanium lock without
carbonize the end and fit it proper the first time.
That's right. And you know, that was the other one of the questions I asked David Rybaum, because he had been getting a bunch of these to do regrind on, and he says that, oh no, the lock faces are treated, they're obviously, you know, you can see that bronzing. That bronzing on the end of the titanium comes from heat, which is the carburization process. And that heating process, the surface that goes in is actually ceramic hard. So, I mean, you know, really, what are you talking about here at the end of the day? It was okay for Chris Reeve for 20 years, but all of a sudden it wasn't okay for somebody else like Spyderco to do a titanium lock.
It was time to upgrade, and unfortunately, CRK doesn't like upgrading.
Yeah, and the thing is,
but I will not.
If you look at the tang, I don't know if you can't see the video here, but where the blade, where the lock face hits there, you can see where it leaves a little bit of material, that galling, which is the rubbing off of the titanium onto the steel. It actually, now after a while, you end up having titanium on titanium because it's galled and mechanically hard.
And then you're smooth. You're
right,
good
and
to go.
Titanium is softer, but it also work hardens.
Yeah.
So as you start to use it and it wears over a little bit, it gets harder and harder and harder. Eventually, it's just got nowhere to go.
That means you're never going to have 100% lockup. It's just going to, you know, move a little bit from that space and you're good. You're set, right?
That's right.
Where's it got to go?
The only question I have, and here's the only question I have about Spyderco is the whole Spidey flicking thing. I do it. I always wonder if it's going to cause extra like keening, you know, onto the, you know, because you're going to end up like on a knife like this, it's got like a 4mm solid lock stop or whatever. But
yeah,
sometimes I'm always wondering, you know, are you going to damage the knife that way? I don't.
Look at it like thumb flicks anyways, because with the Spidey flick, like this is my thumb, you can still flick it open or you can do it with the finger, whatever, right? It's just another digit taking your Benchmade and flicking it open, right? So I think it's going to have the same amount of wear depending how much somebody wants to fidget with that knife. And again, when it comes to compression locks, you just want to do this all day.
Yeah.
So
I don't fidget with my really, like I might sit at home, take it out of the pocket at the end of the day before I put it on the shelf.
That's where the slip joints really went out, man. This little squeak is one of my favorites because those clicks.
Yeah.
I should just do an hour-long ASMR and send it to Brandon because I know he wants this. Oh, she's one of my favorites. Can't let that one ever move. Oh, also, my wife got me. The wife and the kiddo, of course, because I requested. They got me the pink version as well.
Oh, nice.
I was like, yeah, why not? It's just as nice, man. Just as nice. Beautiful.
I got to run out to Costco, boys. So I'm gonna.
That's, you know what? We've been running on way too long. We've been talking too long, and I think it's time. We'll just wrap this puppy up, and we'll go to the after show. So, boys, anything to say? Oh, good. That's good. By the way, everybody, you can watch us on all these feeds and join the Facebook group, IBEDC. We are the official podcast of that Facebook group, showing all the good goods and none of that BS. Find us there every day. And other than that, I guess we're out from the boys here. Let's call it a day. And great show, everyone. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Brandon,